Tonight on News Channel 8, a tragic end to an intense search. Authorities find the body of 11-year-old Jenny Caballero in a pond behind her school. The sheriff describes the emotional discovery.
Yeah, they are, and all of us are. But they're doing as well as they can right now at the moment.
We're following the search for answers as her family grieves and everyone asks, how did this tragedy happen? Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Gail Sierens. There are many questions tonight surrounding the death of Jenny Caballero. Hillsborough County divers found the 11-year-old Rogers Middle School student dead in this pond just steps from the school gymnasium. News Channel 8's Peter Bernard begins our team coverage live from Riverview. Peter?
Hi there. It's just a terrible story. The search for Jenny Caballero started with announcements on the school intercom. Her mother got on the PA system and in Spanish pleaded for her to come out, thinking she may be hiding. Next came an exhaustive 5-hour search. The search for 11-year-old Rogers Middle School student Jenny Caballero involved more than 75 deputies who checked every inch of the school. When that turned up nothing, they turned to the surrounding woods and ponds. Around 6:15, Hillsborough Sheriff David G. delivered the grim news.
Been searching for Jennifer since early this afternoon, and sadly we have to report that we did discover her in a pond just a few minutes ago, and she is deceased.
Beyond a 4-foot fence, in 12 feet of water, 20 feet from the shoreline, in zero visibility, dive team members found Jenny's body. A special needs student with Down syndrome, she had been in the gym with 20 other mentally handicapped students when somehow she got outside without anybody noticing. Her family gathered at the school driveway after hearing the news. Too grief-stricken to speak to me, they left without saying anything.
How do you let a kid just get out of your sight?
A neighbor of Jenny's can't understand how she got outside, over a fence, and into the pond. Despite not being able to speak, she remembers her warm personality.
She's just the sweetest thing that you can imagine. She's like joy. You see her out there with her mom every single day at the bus stop, just laughing and giggling.
Jenny offered clues something was wrong.
She had kind of stood behind some of the bleachers earlier today, and they had notified us that they were, concerned that she may try to walk out.
Now comes the task of figuring out why a girl who went to school on Monday morning didn't come home. Grief counselors will be out here in the morning to help staff and students deal with this tragedy. The sheriff says part of the investigation will be to try to figure out how long Jenny went without any supervision at all. Now joining me is my colleague Josh Green, and he has the school's response to this terrible tragedy. Josh?
That's right, Peter. Investigators will be here first thing in the morning asking those questions. There are a lot of questions here, the biggest one being the one that's on everyone's mind tonight. How did this happen?
Hello, this is Sharon Smickey, principal of Rogers Middle School.
Earlier in the day, the call went out from the Rogers Middle School principal to parents asking for help.
I need for you to please be on the lookout for an 11-year-old Hispanic female. She's about 5 feet tall. She does have Down syndrome.
They didn't know then that Jenny Caballero had made her way into the body of water behind the school. A district spokeswoman says fences surround all of the water on property, and administrators didn't know if Jenny could have gotten over them.
The principal is finding it hard to believe that she could have climbed over any of the fences.
Jenny had only been at the school about 6 weeks. One of the questions now, what caused her to run away from that special needs class in the gym?
They were not the only ones in there. She was in a class of 20, and they have 6 aides, but there were also students from other classes. The mainstream students were in there as well.
You can hear in the administrators' voices that this has shaken this school and this district.
Obviously, this is something that we feel terrible over as a school district. I, as the superintendent, and the staff here, we cannot do anything to change what occurred, but we have to do a full investigation so that we can all understand this.
A lot of questions Hillsborough County investigators will have to dig into here. How did Jenny get away from those half-dozen aides who were in the gym, who were supposed to be watching her at the time? Also, what might have upset her earlier in the day that would have caused her to leave the gym? Gail, the superintendent is not ready yet to say tonight if anyone will be disciplined because of what happened earlier today.
All right, Josh, thank you. We will continue to follow this story as new information develops. Law enforcement will be back on the scene tomorrow searching for answers, and we'll have live coverage on our morning news beginning at 4:30 a.m. And now to a critical night in Decision 2012, round 3 of the presidential debates in Florida tonight. The focus, foreign policy. And both President Obama and Governor Romney came out swinging at times. Listen to this back and forth on pulling out of Iraq.
You thought it should have been 5,000 troops? I thought it should have been more troops. But you know what? The answer was we got no troops through whatsoever.
This is just a few weeks ago that you indicated that we should still have troops in Iraq.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. That's just, I indicated that you failed to put in place a status of forces agreement at the end of the conflict that existed.
Governor, here's one thing I've learned as Commander-in-Chief. You've got to be clear, both to our allies and our enemies, about where you stand and what you mean.
This final face-off comes as most polls have them running neck and neck. So who won round 3? Let's take you live to Keith Cade, who watched the entire debate in Boca Raton. He joins us now live with analysis. Keith?
Thank you, Gail. Who won? It's always up for debate. You ask different supporters for different candidates, you'll get a different answer. I'm joined right now by Congressman Connie Mack, who is, let's just call you Team Romney tonight.
That's right.
I want to get your reaction to how Mitt Romney did tonight. Where did he score points to help put him over the top over the next 2 weeks in Florida?
I think Romney did a great job tonight. He was very presidential. He was measured. He was strong. He knew what he wanted to say. He knew what he wanted to say to the people of the state of Florida and to America. And I thought the president looked small. I thought he took some shots that you might see in a high school debate, but not what you would expect to see in a presidential debate. And again, I'm proud of Mitt Romney. I think he's got the right temperament to be president of the United States, that he can handle foreign policy and also domestic policy.
This really was a debate about foreign policy, but oftentimes the economy came into play, and that's important to the people of Florida, this economy.
That's right. It is important. I mean, it's when you look at the #1 issue in the state or around the country, it's jobs and the economy. And so, of course, they're going to go and talk about jobs and the economy, but it's also important for the strength of America that we have a strong economy. And when you have a $16 trillion debt, the president has added almost $5 trillion since he's been president. That weakens America around the world. And our military folks have said so. They've said so.
And speaking of the military folks, the question came up about Libya. Were you surprised that Mitt Romney, nor the president, really gave us new information in regards to what happened in Benghazi?
The surprise is that the president continues to avoid answering the questions. Every day it seems like there's more questions about Libya and where the president has been on this issue. It seems to change. It seems to change with him. It seems to change with the administration, people who work in the administration. We're still looking for answers, and the president has avoided answering those questions.
Congressman, thank you so much for joining us live tonight. We do appreciate that. I want to talk a little bit more about Libya because, as you heard there, Bob Schieffer really tried to get more details about it. He asked them point blank, 4 Americans are dead. What happened? What caused it? And neither seemed to take this bait that was out there for them to take. Let's watch this exchange on Libya.
I congratulate him on taking out Osama bin Laden and going after the leadership in al-Qaeda. But we can't kill our way out of this mess.
You know, Governor Romney, I'm glad that you agree that we have been successful in going after al-Qaeda. But I have to tell you that your strategy previously has been one that has been all over the map.
Well, my strategy is pretty straightforward, which is to go after the bad guys, to make sure we do our very best to interrupt them, to kill them.
Governor Romney, I'm glad that you recognize that al-Qaeda is a threat. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
Attacking me is not talking about how we're going to deal with the challenges that exist in the Middle East and take advantage of the opportunity there.
This is just a few weeks ago that you indicated that we should still have troops in Iraq.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
You made a major speech.
So it really came down to a question about the al-Qaeda. It came Osama bin Laden. Are you surprised, Dr. Susan McManus, that we didn't hear more about the specifics on what happened in Libya?
I am, because that was sort of the lead-up that every news station and every newspaper around the country was talking about, that would be an important question for both of them to answer, and answer directly. And it was the first thing asked, and so people were thinking when they tuned in, well, why are you not talking, and why are you not answering this question?
Yeah. We're going to get a reaction here in just a moment from Governor Charlie Crist. He's joining us in just a second, but before I go to him, I want to show this other very important question that came up about Israel and Iran. Watch this.
Israel is a true friend. It is our greatest ally in the region. And if Israel is attacked, America will stand with Israel.
When I'm President of the United States, we will stand with Israel. And if Israel is attacked, we have their back.
As long as I'm President of the United States, Iran will not get a nuclear weapon.
There's no question but that a nuclear Iran, a nuclear-capable Iran, is unacceptable to America.
Governor Charlie Crist joining us now from Team Obama. That's the way we're going to call you, refer to you tonight, Governor.
I'm happy with that.
We appreciate you being here. We just talked about Libya. We didn't really see much new development, new information come out about that. We just heard there was agreement about Iran and Israel. How do you think the president did tonight addressing those policies?
I thought the president knocked it out of the park. I thought he was in command, in control. I thought he laid out exactly what the administration has been doing the last 4 years to keep us safe. I think that his partnership, along with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, has provided this administration with a tremendous foreign policy. And I think that his focus on diplomatic skills and expanding diplomacy across the globe has been an advantage to America. It's made us safer, and it's helped our people.
On Israel and Iran?
On Israel and Iran, there's never been a better time to have these kind of relations with Israel than we have right now. I think he even said tonight during the course of the debate that we are having our largest defense exercise with Israel right now. Just started this week. I mean, the relationship is strong. The president has a great deal of concern for Israel, one of our greatest allies on the planet, and so I think it's as healthy and strong as it's ever been.
As I mentioned to Congressman Connie Mack just a moment ago, this subject matter often turned to the economy, and that is so important to the people of Florida. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Right. How do you think the president handled the questions on the economy? Does he deserve another 4 years?
I don't think there's any question about it. The president laid out what he's tried to do to make our state and our country go forward. We're starting to see the economy turn around. Unemployment's down to 7.8%. We're starting to see home sales in Florida. That's a wonderful thing, to see. And I can tell you this from a personal perspective. When he got elected president, I had campaigned for the other guy, but I got to know this man. And the first way I got to know him was with the Recovery Act. He came to Florida when we were looking at our budget as an abyss deeper than the Mariana Trench, and he rescued us, helped us be able to keep our teachers, our law enforcement officers, our firefighters. I mean, this has been a friend of Florida, and it's time for us to be a friend to him.
Governor Charlie Crist, thank you once again for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
Compare this debate to the first two. How do you think? Better? Stronger?
I thought it was the best. I really do. I really do.
Governor, thank you very much. I do want to go back to some of the give and take back and forth on the economy. You had Mitt Romney and Barack Obama going back and forth over the deficit, about job creation. Let's watch this exchange, then we'll come back to Dr. McManus.
You can't have an economy that over the last 3 years keeps slowing down its growth rate. You can't have kids coming out of college, half of whom can't find a job today.
We can start rebuilding America, and that's what my plan does. Making sure that we're bringing manufacturing back to our shores so that we're creating jobs here, as we've done with the auto industry, not rewarding companies that are shipping jobs overseas.
I've got a policy for the future and an agenda for the future. And when it comes to our economy here at home, I know what it takes to create 12 million new jobs and rising take-home pay. And what we've seen over the last 4 years is something I don't want to see over the next 4 years.
What you can't do is spend $2 trillion in additional military spending that the military is not asking for, $5 trillion on tax cuts. You say that you're going to pay for it by closing loopholes and deductions without naming what those loopholes and deductions are. And then somehow you're also going to deal with the deficit that we've already got. The math simply doesn't work.
We do it by reducing spending in a whole series of programs. By the way, number one I get rid of is Obamacare.
Here's General political analyst Dr. Susan McManus. The economy came up. Romney hit on Obamacare. How do you think that exchange went?
We knew that it was going to come back to the economy. They both tried their very best to show how its national security was tied into jobs at home, and that's very important to Florida. And I think that people did really pay attention every time they came back and tied it to the economy and the deficit or whatever else. People's ears perked up.
Okay, final question, then we'll take off. This debate, it was the final debate. How do you think it went? Your just general feel for the debate.
A much more civilized debate. I think the table helped. They were sitting side by side. They wanted to look presidential, statesman-like. That was absolutely essential. Definitely the tone was better. Couldn't have happened at a better time. Late deciders, women and young people, they don't like combativeness. This was much better to reach those undecideds.